This is my Lumix S12 Ultimate rig build that I'm gonna be using on a feature film. And I'm gonna be breaking down all of the different components that I'm using. And the best part about it is you can virtually do this with any camera system. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. So I went ahead and stripped everything off, and I left a couple parts just to save time. So we're starting off with the camera. As you can see, we are using the Condor Blue cage. Really nice, robust cage. Love the mid-rail. Keeps everything really nice and tight. Also, check out the little blacked out Lumix. I plasti dipped that just to make it look a little bit better. And then down here, we are using the Condor Blue base plate. I do have some 6-inch rods, I believe. I think they're 6 inches, and then also their dovetail. By the way, I am gonna leave links to everything I discuss down below in the description. So if you guys wanna check it out, and I'll leave them in order as I talk about them. So anyway, let me go ahead and just lock this into place. So the very first thing that I like to do is I like to install the battery plate. So this battery plate is one of my favorite ones because it has reversible D-taps. And what that means is no matter what direction I install the D-taps, whether it's up or down, you can pretty much choose either direction. You also have a PD Power USBC port. You have DC barrels, 8 volt and 12 volt. And then on top, we also have a USB-C port and then another D-tap on this side. Now you'll notice this looks a little bit different, and that's because this piece right here is for the Hollywood top handle. So this is actually sold separately, and I'll show you guys how this works. So again, everybody knows how to install a battery plate. You just basically slide this in. Now, one thing though, when you are using the top handle, I like everything kind of tight to the camera. So one thing you should do is take out the display, otherwise you won't be able to do it. But that's just me because I like to have everything like butted up to the side here. You can technically install this back here so you have access to your display. I just like everything more closer to the camera. But again, it's all personal preference. So once I slide this into place, I am not going to lock this because I'm going to install the top handle. Now this top handle here is one of their latest edition, and I really like it because A, it's got a bunch of 1/4-20 mounts up above, and because I am going to use an easy rig, it just has a lot of different mounting points. Also, down below here, you can see this is where we're going to attach our battery plate, that little extra piece that I was showing you earlier. And then this handle here actually swivels. So as I turn, I can swivel it. So if I'm rocking like the easy rig, I can do something like this. It just makes it so much easier to control the camera. So I really like that. So this has a NATO rail down here, or on this side. And all we're gonna do is just slide this NATO rail. Actually, I'll show you guys this way. We're just gonna slide it into place, just push a little safety pin. And then notice right here, there is a 1/4-20 underneath here, so I have to kind of force it in there. And then once I do that, there it is. I'm just gonna turn this and then screw it on, okay? Now remember I told you guys about the display. See, I won't be able to close the display anymore, but again, this is just because that's how I like it personally. So once I tighten this, what I like to do is just grab your tool, and then you notice that there's a couple of holes in there, and then just twist it, not too hard, and it just keeps it really tight. So let me just bring this back down. Okay, so now that we have our top handle, you can see how this is kind of working out. It looks really great. And again, show you that reversible part. You can just switch this any direction and it locks into place. So that's really neat. Okay, next step, let's work on the front side. So they have this thing called an M12 AntiTwist. So what we want to do is we want to put a rod right through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my toolkit and then put this guy in here, and then using my toolkit, don't worry about this this is like an anti-twist. So it's got like an RE pin. There it is. And just kind of lock this into place. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to mount a rod. So got a rod here, and we're just going to twist this on. And then once you twist it on, similar to how we did this, what I like to do is I'll grab this and then just give it a little tug, just so it doesn't move. There. Not too hard, or you'll bend this guy. And then once that's done, we're pretty much ready to go. The next piece I like to install is this little guy. So let me tell you what we're doing here. This is for our LiDAR system, and this is for the follow focus, so the motor. So I'm gonna just go ahead and slide this in. But basically, this is a NATO rail that gives you a rod. And you can put, you see the little screw right there? You can put whatever size rod you want. You just loosen this up and then you slide the rod in here. So this is the size that I need for this shoot, which is gonna work out perfect. Okay, so now we've got this. As you can see, the rig is looking pretty good. The next thing I wanna do, again, I kind of leave the whole lens and everything to the very end, but I'll put my motor here and I'll just kind of set it here. I'm not gonna over tighten it, just leave it there. And then what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to install this guy right here. So this is their latest LiDAR mount. And I like it because it has a little bubble level. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll turn it this way. You guys can see a little bubble level right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slide this in here. And I always like to leave it at the very end, pretty much right there. And then looking at my bubble level, I can just see it from right there. That's pretty good, actually. There we go, perfect. Now, let's go ahead and install our LiDAR. So this little bracket here is from a company called NITSI. Sorry, I have it backwards, NITSI. And I also have this bracket installed technically backwards. The reason being is because I like it to sit a little higher like this, okay? So I'll show you guys. Let me go ahead and just move this to the side here. So when I slide this into place, you'll notice that it's sitting above, and I do prefer this method. And again, I'm just gonna tighten that. So this works really well. I personally like it with the combination of the Condor Blue LiDAR system. And what I like about this is if I need to go lower, so I'll switch this over so you can see it, I can just loosen this up and then I can just move this down. Obviously I have to loosen this up too, but you can basically adjust the level, which is great. So now the next thing I want to do is install our monitor. So using the NATO to NATO monitor mount. Shout out to Evan for camera operating. He doesn't know what I'm doing, so it's kind of hard for him to figure out what is he doing. Okay, I've got the NATO to NATO. Now, here's the thing. You notice this little thing to turn? You could actually flip it the other way. It doesn't bother me because I'm not moving the monitor so low, so it doesn't really bother me. But again, you can twist this and go the other way, but I'm just gonna leave it this way. So next thing, sorry, monitor, NATO Rail on the monitor, and I love this because I can just slide this in here. Okay. Once I have that everything, one thing that I forgot to do, don't forget, make sure to tighten these because otherwise it's going to be very loose. And also right up here, this little lever, you can tighten this side. So just go ahead and tighten that, which is perfect. There it goes. Now everything's secured. Okay, great. It's looking pretty much almost done. So for this shoot, because we are shooting a film, we're going to need wireless transmission. So they do want to use Teradek. So I've got the little Teradek transmitter here. I'm just going to go ahead and pop that in there. And then we are going to use a battery. Now, they do sell an extension for this to make it even longer. So you can extend this as long as you want. I prefer to keep it tight also because I am going to be using this on an easy rig. I know for a fact that I'm going to be using it like this. So because it goes down, it doesn't bother me that I can't use it in the downward position if I have a battery, which doesn't really matter to me because again, I know that I'm gonna be operating this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the battery. So you can see, obviously I can't go down because it hits the battery. But again, I know that I'm not gonna be using it that way. And if I needed to, I can extend this to have it go down this way, which is fine. Next thing, because we are using the LiDAR system, of course we need to mount our handle. So NATO Rail, and then just slide this up as high as possible. Okay, and then now it's kind of like the cable management, if you want to call it. So the very first thing that I like to do is let's go ahead and install the motor cable. So I bought this on Amazon. It's a right angle. You can see it here. It's like a U-shaped USB plug, and it gives me the voltage. I freaking love this thing because a lot of times, like let me show you, if I did this, look, it sticks out. I hate that. I'm all about trying to make it as clean as possible. So with this little U-shape, look at that. That looks so much better. And then I'll route my cable up here. See this little, I mean, you can mount a rod through here, but I'm gonna go ahead and mount it this way and then run it so that we can get, here, I'll bring it this way. So you can go ahead and see it here. This is for the motor, so this goes here. By the way, these cables are from Condor Blue. They're braided and they work specifically. The thing about these, like the LiDAR system, is that you have to use like proprietary cables. They're weird. So they actually make it so that it works with their system. So for example, the LiDAR one here is super short because normally the ones that come with the kit are very, very long, which I hate because otherwise you'd have like this freaking coil. And look at this, this looks so much nicer. And I kind of just tuck this away right here. There we go. Let's go ahead and install a Mondo tie for cable management. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that right here. And just turn this and you'll see why. So this camera is basically HDMI only. And the thing about it is we need to send a feed to our video village, but because it's HDMI only, I also have a monitor. So what we're doing is we're going to connect the HDMI to our Teradek, and then from Teradek that has an SDI out, we're gonna SDI out to the monitor. So the first thing I'm gonna do is grab this guy, my HDMI cable, and then plug it in this way. Sorry, I gotta go up. There we go. Plug it in, and then go to the camera side. I'm just gonna flip it this way. Sorry, we keep going back and forth, but okay, there we go. Now, what I like to do is we're gonna power now the camera by USB-C. That way we don't have to basically change out any battery. So I'm just gonna plug this in, and then we're gonna use the battery plate up here. Look at that, look how beautiful that looks. So everything's tucked away, got the HDMI cable going over here, and now we need to run our SDI cable. So SDI, we're gonna go out right here, and then I'm gonna route it here using our Mondo tie, boom, and then we're gonna plug it here to our SDI. So now our Teradek is looping over to our monitor. Of course, we need to get power, so I'm gonna go ahead and power this guy on here, and still same thing using that Mondo tie. So I love that this is locking, by the way. So this is the port keys monitor, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing here, Mondo tie, okay. There we go. And then, I can't see. So I like these reversible D-taps, but see, I can go either way. So if I wanna go down, there it goes. I can go ahead and do that, so that's great. So now, let's go ahead and put our lens. So one thing to note though is, with this particular cage setup, this filter does not come out. So if you wanna swap out filters, you technically have to take this off. However, Condor Blue does make a plate here that allows you to take this off. I haven't got it from them. I normally don't ever change this out, so it's not that big of a deal, but they do make a plate. So if you do need it, just ask them. I think they'll give it to you for free, from my understanding, like if you buy their cage. So we're gonna go ahead and install this guy. So for this film, we're using Blazar lenses. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this guy in here. So now, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna move my focus motor, attach it to here, and then lock that. So look at that, it's like the perfect size. By the way, I custom made this rod, so it's like perfect. I'm a nut. I want everything to just be perfect. Look at that, perfect size. And because all the Blazar lenses are the same length, it's not going to change. So now the next thing I wanna do is install the Matbox. So I'm just gonna thread on the filter here because it just makes it a little bit easier. So thread this on, it's a 77 millimeter. And then go ahead and just grab the Matbox. Boom. So there we go. And that, I think, my friends, is pretty much it, with the exception of, I do like a side handle on the side here. And I install this last just because there's so much going on here. So what I do is I just kind of put this on here, the very end, and then just, sorry, I can't see, there we go. Lock this, and then there we go. So for filters, I use the Firecrest ones. These are awesome. I've actually tested them out. I may make a video. I tested them with a bunch of other filters, and Firecrest, in my opinion, are the best. I also like the Element filters too. I have a really great set of Element filters, but I've gravitated towards these now. These are awesome. So yeah, this is pretty much the ultimate rig for this shoot. Actually, there's one more thing, and this is just to install, or for the easy rig. But again, we can thread this on here for the easy rig, and then we're ready to go. But look at this. We've got the big 6 here. So then we could just, I can just literally from down here slide this out. Sorry, here we go. Look at this. Boom. ready to go. Obviously, I'm gonna be using the Easy Rig, but yeah, this thing is a beast. So yeah, we're gonna be using this for our film. Again, I'm gonna leave links to the whole entire build down below if you guys are interested in building this yourself. And by the way, you can literally do this with just about any camera. It doesn't have to be S1 II specific. This literally works with any build. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. My name is Armando. Thanks again for watching, and you will catch me in the next one. Adios.